You are about to enjoy a production of the Ella Wellness Network. This is Wellness Fixes the Pod. I'm your host, Dr. Kelsey Vick, and we are about to get hotter and smarter in 5. Let's get into it. It's the beginning of 2025, and all that we can talk about is goal setting. But how can we maintain motivation to reach those goals well throughout the year? Let's get hotter and smarter in 5 minutes as we talk about motivation. So the primary neuromodulator involved in motivation and maintaining motivation throughout the year is dopamine. And we all have this baseline level of dopamine. What our brain senses as an elevation in dopamine is in comparison to that baseline. So when our dopamine levels elevate above baseline, we are more likely to set our focus on the goals that we have. We have an outward focus towards what we can accomplish. We're more motivated towards those goals. When we have a decrease in dopamine levels below baseline, that's when we pull back a little. We feel a little bit more anxious. We might not feel as motivated to go after those goals. So what's important is that we keep that baseline level of dopamine that we have in our bodies at a healthy level. We do not want a chronic elevation or a chronic decrease in dopamine levels. You might be thinking, oh, it'd be great if I can just always be motivated all the time. But again, remember, it's not that elevated level of dopamine, it's that change from baseline to that elevated level that our brain senses and makes us want to go after those goals. So having chronically high levels of dopamine, we might have to do more and more in order to get that elevation. So that's just kind of a cue into addictive behaviors as well, because you're getting that sustained high levels of dopamine over and over and over again. So you have to have more and more of a stimulus. So it's important that we maintain that healthy baseline level of dopamine so that we can have these peaks that we want in order to maintain motivation throughout the year. In order to maintain a healthy baseline level of dopamine and have healthy peaks and valleys, there are a few things that we can do in order to make sure that we can stay motivated throughout the entire year when it comes to our goals. The first thing we can do is we do have control over our dopamine system. So telling ourselves that being on the journey is the good part rather than the end goal can really help us stay motivated in those goals. The other thing we can do, randomly time rewards. So I want you guys to think about casinos when it comes to this. Randomly timing the reward that you get when you're gambling makes you want to stay longer, right? You're more motivated per se to stay longer because you're randomly timing those rewards. So if we can do that in a similar way when it comes to the goals that we have set for ourselves in this new year, that can help us maintain motivation. If we randomly keep getting these rewards, we don't know when the next one's coming. So we're more likely to go after that goal. We also want to randomly time how we layer things that we enjoy. So, like I said earlier, if we have this sustained high level of dopamine, like high level of baseline dopamine, we're going to need larger and larger and larger emotions or circumstances and positive things in order to have that elevated level of dopamine. So, we want to be cautious with how we layer these things that cause us joy and cause us to increase our dopamine levels. So, as an example, if you enjoy working out and you really love working out to music and you really love working out with a friend, if you do that consistently over time, that becomes your new baseline. So then when you go to a workout with a friend with music, you are not going to get that same elevation because that's become your new normal, right? So if we can layer these things on, so maybe one day we work out in silence, the next one we work out with a friend, the next one we work out with a friend and music, we just sort of layer some of the things we can enjoy and that we get these dopamine elevations from, that can help us stay more motivated throughout the year. And then the last two things, sunlight is a huge balancer when it comes to our baseline levels of dopamine and making sure that they stay at a healthy level. And then changing where our eyes focus their attention can help us maintain motivation in our goals. So if we focus our attention away from us, almost like we're forward looking, we're forward thinking, we're really focusing our attention to be on a goal that we have ahead of us, that can also help our motivation. So motivation throughout the year after we set these 2025 goals is dependent upon dopamine, and we have control over that dopamine system and how we receive rewards, how we picture the journey, behaviors that we can change, how we view sunlight, where we focus our attention to stay more motivated. So doing all of these things can help us be that much more motivated throughout the year when it comes to our 2025 goals. So not only have we set our 2025 goals, but we will now be smarter and hotter as we attain those goals. That's on motivation. I'll see you guys next time.